Thursday's long ball number one. We had a lot of midweek action, but the biggest game on the Tuesday, Alyssa Naeher, goalkeeper for the United States women's national team, finished her last game with a win, a 2-1 victory in Holland.
She did. She did. It was. It's funny you're saying it was the biggest game, considering it was a friendly. But obviously, with Alyssa Naeher saying goodbye to the U.S. Women's National Team,
notable, the most notable game.
Notable, certainly notable, and an end to an incredible career. It was not a good performance by the U.S. Women's National Team. Now, Alyssa Naeher was good. Alyssa Naeher kept the U.S. women in the game in the first half, which was an absolutely atrocious performance from Emma Hayes' team in The Hague. You know, there were jokes flying about tribunals and trials and all kinds of stuff because, of course, the international courts are in The Hague. It felt like the U.S. women needed a tribunal to look into their inability to possess the ball. But Alyssa Naeher did her job. I mean, she couldn't keep out that first Dutch goal. Obviously, the U.S. saved by the own goal just before halftime, which was hilarious because they had barely done anything on the attacking end. And then in that second half, they managed to find the goal. Lynn Williams came on at halftime, changed the tenor of that game. Hal Hirschfeld also in the midfield. The midfield was the problem for the U.S. women in that first half. But in terms of what we were celebrating on the day, right, no matter what the performances looked like, and I know there are lots of fans going, what are we going to do at left back? How are we going to replace Alyssa Naeher? Please fix the midfield. Where's the number 9? Those are all big questions, of course, Emma Hayes has to deal with. But if we're just talking about celebrating Alyssa Naeher's incredible career, she capped it off with a win. It was vintage Alyssa Naeher making some incredible saves, and we would say thank you to Alyssa as we send her off.
I mean, sparkling career doesn't really do her justice. I mean, she's broken a lot of records, including Hope Solo's shutout record, the first goalkeeper to take and score a World Cup goal, won a World Cup in the past, and then I was going to ask you, of all these accolades and all these big tournament moments, what kind of stands out to you? In a retrospective, a short-term hot take retrospective.
Yeah, I was looking back at the save rather that Alyssa Naeher.
Yeah,
save.
Is that her new acronym?
I guess Alyssa Naeher made that incredible save against Brazil in stoppage time in the gold medal situation last year. Or this year. When was that? Was that this year? Oh my God! My
Olympics
brain is broken. Yes, it was the Olympics. It was this year. The thing that moment came, that incredible save, back post, open header, looks like Brazil's gonna score and change the complexion of that game. And Alyssa Naeher just up to her right, incredible reflexes, makes that save. Of course, that's just one of many penalty kick saves. Part of her story throughout her career. You mentioned taking a penalty kick. That, of course, stands out. World Cup winner, gold medalist, just an incredible player. I know Emma Hayes. I don't know if Emma Hayes was trying to rile some people up or, what, but she did say that she told Alyssa Naeher that Alyssa Naeher was the best goalkeeper the United States women's national team had ever had. That makes you go, okay. You wonder if Hope Solo is searching her own name on social media these days. That's kind of what makes you think about. But Alyssa Naeher has had an incredible career. It is going to be a hole to fill that Emma Hayes has to figure out between now and the next World Cup.
I'm really happy that the Olympics went so well and she was able to get that win, because my standout memory would have been her outrage and bewilderment when she thought she saved that penalty against Sweden in the Women's World Cup. I mean, that was one of the closest margins I've ever seen on goal line technology, and it still wasn't all that convincing. She claims she saved it. So I'm very happy that she went out a winner, in the big tournaments. Obviously yesterday is nice, but that Olympics win really was the kind of the cap on the career, I'd think. And it's nice to see that she went out there and it wasn't like we won in, was it 18 or 19 and then, slumped. So she went out as a big time winner. It is wild to think that do you consider her better than Hope Solo? Because I'm guessing that's what that was alluding to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Emma Hayes. She didn't evoke Hope Solo's name, but clearly, if we're talking about a battle for the best goalkeeper the U.S. women have ever had, it's between Hope Solo and somebody else. Hope Solo has held that title for a long time. She is a Hall of Famer, and Alyssa Naeher will be a Hall of Famer too. I think Alyssa Naeher had a lot of things. She was maybe a more well-rounded goalkeeper than Hope Solo in certain ways, distribution, things like that. Hope Solo was an incredible shot stopper, right? And by the way, since you mentioned the Sweden goal, this is what I found. This is how close it was. That's what they said was a goal. That Sweden one that Alyssa Naeher claims she saved. Look at how close that is via the goal line
That's the
technology.
closest thing I've ever seen. I mean,
Incredible. I mean, we're talking about a millimeter, if that, right?
they're
That is
saying that there was a gap between the ball and the line there.
what gap? There's no gap. What is this? No, come on. No, of course. Look, I don't want to be a prisoner of recency bias. I think Hope Solo was probably better. I think she was. As messy as she was off the field, I think she was a better goalkeeper.
Yeah, she was never really beaten for pace or that high hard shot, which can happen a lot in the women's game. And she could cover, she's like, had the stature and the athleticism to cover the entirety of the goal in a way that a lot of goalkeepers don't. And yeah, just that pure shot stopping ability. I don't recall her ever really being beaten for pace. But Alyssa Naeher, I mean, is there a debutante waiting in the wings? I know Hayes has thrown in a couple other goalkeepers, or is that just
Yeah.
like too hard of a question?
No, I don't think there is a clear answer right now. Casey Murphy, maybe, but she wasn't in this team for this trip. I think I've seen people who are keeping a closer watch on the up and coming group of goalkeepers who are saying have names, but I'm not one to tell you who's in the pipeline. Like I don't know who's up next, and I think it's a little scary at this moment if you're a U.S. Women's National Team fan. And it doesn't really matter in big ways until 2027 in the next World Cup. But man, it is not a good feeling because U.S. men have been going through this. Well, we've got a bunch of keepers, but they're not all. None of them are really that great. And here is Alyssa Naeher, who's been such a rock for the U.S. women. She's exiting on her own terms, as she is allowed to do, but it leaves the U.S. women looking for a replacement.